Well, I started my career here in Dallas because I'm actually a native from Oak Cliff.
Okay.
When we were predominantly black in Oak Cliff, but we I started my career with the Tom Joyner Foundation, and so that's when I began working in nonprofit, and I just love the closeness of community. I love being able to support, help, give back. I love pouring my time into that. And so when the Oak Cliff Chamber had position come up, I was like, hey, I'm here for it because Oak Cliff is my hood. And y'all know this song, right? Oak Cliff is my hood. Oak Cliff is my hood. Why not? So
I don't know. I'm from New Jersey. I don't know about that. No, who sings it? So she already representing somebody she don't even know. But she know the lyrics. She know the lyrics. My name is Dr. Mark Williams. Welcome to my masterclass. I have a PhD in education from West Virginia University. I have a master's in sport management and an MBA from the University of Massachusetts. I even have an undergraduate degree in sociology from William Patterson University. And currently, I'm the Global Scholar Practitioner at HBCU, Florida Memorial University. But I also work for 3 of the largest sports brands in the world, Reebok, Champ Sports, and Foot Action. But I can't go anywhere without my Jordan 1s. Join me and my guests as we explore their rise to the top through adversity and challenges. It's time to help you find a hero in you. Welcome to my masterclass. Welcome, everyone, to another edition of Dr. Mark's Masterclass Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Mark Williams. Yes, I'm back again. It's been 2 months. Many of you know my mother was very ill. She battled lupus, cancer, and diabetes for 8 years. Just a warrior. And then this thing called COVID came, right? And took my mother out in 2 weeks. Not even a warrior like my mother could sustain that. And so I just want you to, as I always tell you, this thing right here, this saves lives, right? But the vaccine really saves lives. And I was able to do Moderna. And I will be honest with you, I didn't think about doing my vaccine until my mother contracted COVID. So I just want to encourage you. This is not, this is not a political issue, my friends. Even though this is Esports Podcast Network, we talk about real stuff here. And I just want you to know that I want you to practice being safe, washing your hands, doing the things that you need to do, practice social distancing like we have been doing for the last year. Thank God I got my vaccine and I'm okay for now. But I want you to do that and do not make this a political issue. If you have not not been vaccinated, please go out and get vaccinated and make sure that you're protecting yourselves. We lost my mom, like I said, and that's very near and dear to me. And so she's part of the 600,000+ people in America that has succumbed to this awful disease. So I just want to, again, encourage you all to do that. But I wanted to say it's good to be back here with MAP Sports Esports Podcast Network with my good friends here with Aaron and Sia on the Innovation Media Enterprises. Got a new partner here with Gage. Gage is going to be part of the Wheels and Steel, making sure that I sound dope every time, every day, all day. Got a lot of interesting people in the studio with me today. Typically, I don't have 50 million people in here with me, but I said, you know what? Let me bring my peeps in here. You know I'm moving to Dallas. Yes, I'm so excited. Miami, I miss you, but moving to my favorite city, Dallas, and I don't have to fly here every month and do like 10 shows. Now I get to come and do this every week. And so I have some friends here from Dallas that I think you'll be very interested in. And I think that you'll get a chance to learn about the culture of Dallas, but also about this organization. It's an amazing organization that I think that you'd be very interested in. Every city in America, every town has a Chamber of Commerce. And we have here from the Oak Cliff Chamber of Commerce, we have the president of the Oak Cliff Chamber of Commerce. Can you believe the president of the president here? My second show, I have the president of the Oak Cliff Chamber of Commerce is here, Kiyundra Jones, and I also have the associate creative director. We're going to have her explain what that means. DeAnn Lax, she's here as well. And we have some other special people in here. I got 11-year-old AJ in here. He's not a guest in here, but he's sitting here taking notes, even though he's playing his game. I'm not sure what game he's playing here, but we're going to bring him back as a guest because we want to see his skills in NBA 2K and Madden. Everybody said that they're great at that, right? But see, I know the folks that create the game, so I know little tricks of the game. So, but we'll still see what kind of games he can play play and at 11 years old, what his thought process is. But we're not talking to him today, but he's in the studio and he's listening intently. So anyway, without further ado, we want to introduce Ms. Kiyundra Jones, president of Oak Cliff Chamber of Commerce. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me today.
Yes. We're happy that you're here. DeAnn, you're here as well?
Yes, glad to be here.
Yes, I love those earrings. What kind of earrings is that?
So
globe?
They are just wooden, but a young
Wooden
lady
earrings.
made them. She was a kid when she made them through our Kidpreneur program at our school.
Okay, excellent. So why did I bring someone from a Chamber of Commerce in here? Because many of you know what a Chamber of Commerce is. Some of you don't know what a Chamber of Commerce is, but it's a group of business people in a community that come together that really try to put together the advocacy for other businesses in the community. And I'm curious to know about Oak Cliff Chamber of Commerce. What makes Oak Cliff Chamber of Commerce? Who is the Oak Cliff Chamber of Commerce? And when did you become president of this organization?
So I want to start with what is a Chamber of Commerce, because a lot of people assume that they know what a Chamber of Commerce is, and I really want to break that down. So there's different types of chambers of commerces, and every time I meet someone, they're asking me, well, what does a Chamber of Commerce actually do? So first of all, the city of Dallas does not have a city chamber of commerce. And I find that very interesting. We have over 40 chambers of commerce in the city of Dallas. And so there is no city of Dallas chamber of commerce. We have a regional chamber of commerce, but the Oak Cliff Chamber of Commerce is what's called a regional chamber of commerce, in that we cover a geographic area. We also have ethnic chambers of commerces, which are focused on ethnic groups. And so,
give an example of one.
So, for example, there's a Black Chamber of Commerce, there's a Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, Asian Chamber of Commerces, and so usually they're focused on the needs of that ethnic group. A regional chamber is focused on the business needs of that region or geographic area.
Okay.
And so usually you would want to join a chamber of commerce that would be focused on that thing that your business would most benefit from. So if your Black business needs things that would benefit your Black business, you would likely join a Black Chamber of Commerce.
Okay.
If you want to do business in the Oak Cliff area, you would more than likely join an Oak Cliff Chamber of Commerce, that regional chamber of commerce. And so I wanted to kind of break that down. But with regards to how long I've been in position, I've been with the Oak Cliff Chamber of Commerce since 2007. And believe it or not, I was the first Black person to be hired with the Chamber of Commerce, which
In Oak Cliff?
In Oak Cliff.
Wow. Is there no Black people there?
There were no Black people hired at the Chamber of Commerce. And so when I walked in the Chamber of Commerce in 2007, that was my question, like, where are the Black people? So it did not represent at all the community that it served. And so that spoke volumes.
Tell everybody, the demographics of Oak Cliff so they understand. Because when I first heard of Oak Cliff years ago, I thought it was predominantly Black or mostly Black.
So believe it or not, Oak Cliff is about 66% Hispanic.
Wow.
So that is a misconception that it is more Black than anything. No, it's about 66% Hispanic. But that was not even being represented at the Oak Cliff Chamber of Commerce. So when I got there in 2007, it was middle-aged white people that were represented at the Oak Cliff Chamber, especially from a staff standpoint. But I became president in 2014, and so I've been in the president's seat ever since then.
Wow, that's interesting. So, DeAnn, you are the associate creative director. What is that?
So I'm the associate creative director for our new visual podcast, Strictly Business Unscripted.
Okay.
We are trying to re-energize the small business and entrepreneur community. And what we want to do, or what we will do, is promote high-level entrepreneurs or high-level business owners to help just bring their stories, tell their stories, let our audience know what they did during hard times, because as we know, some of our businesses have been greatly impacted by COVID. So what happened during those hard times that they've dealt with, And what happened during the good times? What were some financial practices that they made? What high level individuals can give? What can they give to our audience, our listening audience, and not just in Oak Cliff, but because it's a visual podcast, much like yours, all over the world. And so that's what we're doing.
So Kiyundra, tell us a little bit about your approach when you are looking to try to galvanize the community of Oak Cliff and really attract sponsors to buy into what you're doing at Oak Cliff. What are some of the things because I noticed we can go into some of the things that you've done, but what are some of the things that you try to do on a daily basis in terms of how do you attract potential sponsors or people that want to believe in what you're doing at Oak Cliff?
So my approach is very different than what it had been. So Oak Cliff, unfortunately, it had been very divisive. We were focused on North Oak Cliff unfortunately, we were focused on just North Oak Cliff, basically the haves, and we have to be honest about our past.
So North Oak Cliff, tell everybody, because people that listening are from all around the world, so tell everybody what North Oak Cliff is versus South versus West versus East Oak Cliff. Okay.
So we can be candid here, right?
Yep. Yeah. The FCC is listening, so be careful about language. But be candid, please.
That's okay. That's okay.
Yes, be candid.
So I'm a straight shooter, okay. And so I think that in order to solve problems, that we have to address them, and we have to be as honest about the challenges as possible. And so our organization historically has been focused on the haves versus the have-nots. And so historically the Oak Cliff Chamber of Commerce has focused on the more prosperous part of Oak Cliff, which was the north part of Oak Cliff. And so my approach has been to be inclusive and to focus on the entire Oak Cliff area, which is the north, south, east, and west, which we are named the Oak Cliff Chamber of Commerce versus the North Oak Cliff Chamber of Commerce. So I include all areas. And so that's been my approach since I've been there. And that includes brown, white, it doesn't matter, large, small, it does not matter. And so that's just been the approach, and it has seemed to work.
So because they focus mostly on the haves, and then you come in and say, hey, I want the haves and the have-nots and those in the middle, how has that been received? Has it been received like with open arms, or has it been a challenge? What's it been like for you?
Initially, there was some pushback.
How dare you give to the have-nots, right?
As to be expected. There was some pushback initially. How dare you, brown girl, come in there and change things? But I was built for this, and so it is what it is. And so we have weathered those storms, and this organization has and is more prosperous than it has ever been. We have been around for 102 years. We are the oldest chamber of commerce in the city of Dallas, and it is because of that approach that we have been more inclusive than ever, that we have been around as long as we have. And so we will continue to be around because we continue to include all people.
That's awesome. I think one of my last guests, Dr. Bob here, he's at UNT Frisco, and he's from the Netherlands. And one of the things I've learned and enjoyed about him is that he's very inclusive of people, because they don't really look at race like we do in America, obviously for many reasons why we look at race, because of our torrid history here. So until racism ends in America, we're going to always address things in terms of race. And people will sometimes say, why do we keep talking about race? Because we have to, that's why. Anyway, so I'm curious to know your approach as a black woman and in 2021, both of you actually, in terms of how do you become more inclusive with a community that typically is already focused on giving to the haves? How do you get the have-nots to buy into what you're doing? Just because you're black does not mean that people that look like us is going to buy into what you're doing. When in the past, people of color in that particular area and Oak Cliff have not been represented. What was it like for the black community to now see a person of color, a woman in that position, kind of running the helm now? What has it been like for you?
We had to be intentional about our programming. When I first took this position, there were everything that we did from a programming standpoint. We did those things in North Oak Cliff, everything. And so I had to be intentional about even where we had luncheons and even where everything. So I was intentional about certain things and the types of programming we had. So we started a workforce development program that was that upskilled specifically people that looked like us. And we had a focus on individuals of color that were 125% below the poverty line. And it is about 80 to 85% minority, and it focuses on getting those individuals going down a career path. And so with programs like that, you're intentional about getting those individuals to work. So it changed everything. Our programs changed, the types of programs, where we had those programs. And so quite naturally, even the type of board member we had changed because of the type of events that we had, the type of programs we had changed, but the support followed.
Wow. Yeah, it's a challenge because I want to go back to the workforce development program because as many of you know, this program, my show and on the MAP Esports Podcast Network, we talk about the video game industry, which is a $200 billion industry, and when it comes to people of color, we lack in that space. Women, minorities, it's usually Asian men and white men that dominate that space, and me and many of my colleagues as well as educators, we're trying to find ways, as well as the video game industry, how do we create pathways for young people to get opportunities in this space. So your workforce development program, would you be open to working with organizations and schools and video game companies to help to try to create pathways for people of color, particularly in Oak Cliff?
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. So currently we're focused on the healthcare industry. We're partnered with Dallas College as well as Methodist Hospital, but we are absolutely looking to expand that.
Okay. So, DeAnn, you've done so much in your career in terms of marketing and branding and working with the entertainment industry, the music industry. What made you decide to pivot and say, hey, I'm going to go work with Oak Cliff and work with the Chamber of Commerce there?
Well, I started my career here in Dallas because I'm actually a native from Oak Cliff.
Okay.
When we were predominantly black in Oak Cliff. But I started my career with the Tom Joyner Foundation. And so that's when I began working in nonprofit. And I just love the closeness of community. I love being able to support, help, give back. I love pouring my time into that. And so when the Oak Cliff Chamber had position come up, I was like, hey, I'm here for it because Oak Cliff is my hood. And y'all know this song, right? Oak Cliff is my hood. Oak Cliff is my hood. Why not? So
I don't know. I'm from New Jersey. I don't know about that. No, who sings it? So she over there representing somebody she don't even know, but she know the lyrics. She know the lyrics though.
That's a old, but that was my neighborhood. I grew up in Oak Cliff, and I felt like this is an opportunity for me to pour into Oak Cliff. I worked in South Dallas, actually still do some work in South Dallas, and it's funny how Dallas works. South Dallas and Oak Cliff are right next to each other, but it's almost like they're two different cities at some points. So I was very committed in South Dallas, so I had to come back to Oak Cliff. But the funny thing about people in Dallas, you ask, like, how do we give back to these communities that see us in a position that we were not in at once? It's funny about Dallas. I feel like here, we see entertainers come through here, and we're not like, oh my gosh, there's Emma Smith, there's, Erykah Badu. We get a little starstruck, but we're not entirely. What we in Oak Cliff, in Dallas, in South Dallas, like, is relationships. And so when there's organizations like the Oak Cliff Chamber, like so many organizations, nonprofits in South Dallas and Oak Cliff that are willing to give back and to really invest and spend time with individuals and preparing individuals for careers, that's what we look at. Yes, it's great to have a celebrity here or there to bring in a great big name. Some people will show up to that, but we like the relationships. We like being able to call Oak Cliff Chamber or some other organization and say, hey, what can we do? How can we use your services? How can we benefit from your services? And so that's my 2 cents on being a Dallas native and what we look for in our people.
Yeah, let's go back, Kiyundra, to the Oak Cliff Works part. You started in 2017. A lot of people were lost their jobs during the pandemic, and you're working hard to create this this pipeline of young people that are working. How important, or what kind of support have you gotten from Congress, or gotten from your local government, from the mayor's office, from the Senate office? What kind of support do you get from them as far as the local politicians in terms of trying to find ways to employ people, especially people that live in Oak Cliff?
So we are partnered with the City of Dallas for our workforce program for the last 2 years, and so they have been extremely supportive. In fact, we have pushed through 6 cohorts in partnership with the City of Dallas, and have applied for additional funding with the city to be able to go with another 6 cohorts, I believe, for another 2 years with the City of Dallas. So they've been extremely supportive. In fact, our mayor, Eric Johnson, one of his primary focuses is workforce. And so they are committed to find some solutions specifically in the southern sector. In fact, our Dr. Eric Johnson with the Economic Development Department for the City of Dallas is committed to helping Black young men get some additional resources and get them skilled up, specifically in the southern sector. He's bringing an initiative to Dallas called 110 that's going to get employment for about 700 Black men within the next few years. And so there is a lot of effort from at least City Hall to get Black men skilled up and getting them going down career pathways. With regards to other resources, of course, we were able to get some funding through the SBA to allow us to continue with our workforce program. So we've been supported heavily.
Okay, I love that. And so anyone out there listening that are CEOs of major companies, Fortune 500 companies, especially my video game companies that are out here, if you want to find Black men that need jobs, you come to Oak Cliff, okay? So there's no more excuses. We saw Breonna Taylor murder, we saw George Floyd murder, not death, murder, yes. We gotta call that out. And you're like, Mark, this is not a political show. No, it's a show talking about realness and how do we get people employed. We got to be honest about that. And we also got to be honest about where do you find these people? Where do you find people of color? Where do you find Black men? Well, we can start with Oak Cliff, right? That's right. That's just one community. Yeah. So there are lots, and the great thing about what's happening at Oak Cliff is that you have other people in the community educating and teaching people about business acumen and how to speak and how to present themselves. So that you're not just getting just a bunch of slouches. You're getting people that are going to be trained, that are articulate, that are well-spoken, that are hard workers, and that want to work. And we're excited about it because here at MAP Esports Podcast Network, we're going to be doing career days. We're going to be having CEOs from major companies coming in, not just in the video game industry, but also music, fashion, film, and also apparel, because that plays a role in the video game industry. Yeah. All of it does. Yeah. And we know that people of color, that's part of what we do, right? So if we got an opportunity to do that, guess what? We're going to show up and show out, right? So I just want to remind everybody you're listening to Dr. Mark's Masterclass podcast here on the MAP Sports Esports Podcast Network, powered by Innovation Media Enterprises. Aaron and Sia. I can't see ya, but I know you're in here somewhere, Sia. But I want to say thank you again for all that you do. Gage, man, you always, I know you're gonna make me sound good. You're gonna make us all sound dope here. But we're talking to Kiyundra Jones and DeAnn Lax of the Oakwood Chamber of Commerce. I'm curious to know what other organizations do you partner with here in the city of Dallas, or even Oak Cliff, that help lend a hand to helping you tell your story and to get more people to learn more about Oak Cliff?
So we have many, many partners. With regards to the workforce development program, we are partnered with a marketing firm, and it's MRR and Associates, and so they do a phenomenal job of helping us get the word out there about that particular program. But as you know, we are a chamber of commerce. We have over 600 members, and so we do lots and lots of cross-marketing with those particular programs. But another program that I did want to mention is our Taste of Oak Cliff program, which has been, it's only 2 years old, and we've already outgrown the Taste of Dallas. And
you have 20,000 people come to that,
yes,
right? Right.
Yes.
Wow.
And so it's the largest Taste of in the city of Dallas in only 2 years. And so we have partnered with the State Fair of Texas, and so they help us with our marketing. And so they have been a huge partner with regards to helping us with our marketing. And so it is just, we were not able to do that in 2021 because of the pandemic, but we will pick that back up in 2022. Okay. And it is a wonderful way for us to showcase all of the goods and services of the Oak Cliff region by having that taste of there in the Oak Cliff area.
So what do you sample? What do you have oxtails?
We did not have oxtails.
You can't have a taste without oxtails. What are you talking about?
This year. South Dallas Cafe.
There's a Jamaican community out here. Come on.
It is.
I do not recall having some oxtails.
Do I gotta come all the way from Florida and get my Jamaican brothers and sisters in Oak Cliff? They're out there somewhere.
Well, we got them out here.
Okay.
We'll have to invite them.
My Jamaican sisters and brothers, y'all need to go to the Taste of Oak Cliff.
Yes, definitely.
I don't recall having oxtails, but we will make sure.
Yes.
That we have.
I'm calling her out. Okay. We need some oxtails up in that joint. Okay.
That is hilarious.
So tell us when is this? When is this event?
So we're hoping. So we'll partner with the Dallas Zoo, and so that we're hoping that'll be second quarter or early second quarter of 2022.
Okay.
So. That is hilarious. Oxtails. Okay.
Yeah, and we got a Mappy Sports Podcast Network. We're going to be there recording live.
Awesome.
We're going to bring our video game companies out there and maybe have a job fair there or something. But we got to bring some oxtails up in there. You know what I'm saying?
Hey.
And some beef patties and some cocoa bread. You know what I mean?
We had beef patties. There were some beef patties. Now let me say this. Now the Taste of Oak Cliff. Now how there are other taste of, and those taste ofs are samplings of eateries and things like that. But what this taste of was for me was a taste of all good things Oak Cliff, because we know, people say Oak Cliff is terrible. All people are talking about how awful Oak Cliff is, and that's simply not true. If you look at crime rates in the city of Dallas, we know that the highest crime rates are actually in North Dallas, not Oak Cliff. Right. And so we wanted you to have some samplings of what Oak Cliff actually was. So we were putting on full display samples of how great Oak Cliff, from a product standpoint, eatery standpoint, and everything. So we had over 100 vendors. Only 25 of them were eateries. So this taste of is very, very unique in that only a small portion of them were eateries. So we encourage everyone to participate in our taste of, so you get a small sampling of all things great in Oak Cliff.
You gotta find your Jamaican brothers and sisters.
Well, we're gonna have to get some oxtails this year.
We might have to call on South Dallas.
Call on South Dallas after she just dissed them, right? Let me stop. Anyway,
South Dallas.
So you also have an amazing program called Oak Cliff Thrives. Tell us a little bit about that.
So yes, so this is a program that we are super proud of. So we know that a lot of, especially minority businesses were impacted heavily by the pandemic. Some of our businesses were unable to take advantage of some of the resources provided by the SBA, whether they were unable to take advantage of the PPP opportunities or the disaster loan opportunities provided by the SBA, whatever those were. Some of our minorities businesses simply did not have a relationship with banks. Whatever those things were, we wanted to address those specifically with minority businesses. And so what we've created is a small business incubator program post-COVID, and we're calling it post-COVID. We're not quite post-COVID, but And cohort by cohort, we're adopting businesses, small businesses, and we're infusing those businesses with legal and financial resources to help them ultimately. First of all, we want to identify how they were impacted by COVID, okay? And then we're nursing them back to health, okay? To help them survive and ultimately thrive. So it is a 14-session incubator program, and it is by design to help those businesses ultimately thrive. We're nursing them back to health.
Okay. Let me ask you a question. In terms of when we talk about job in the workforce, do you look to target the high school kids, maybe even middle school kids, preparing them, getting them ready for the workforce development program that you have? Because I'm going back to non-traditional jobs, like I said, working in the video game industry and entertainment industry. Have you targeted some companies or brands that were interested in working with you that are from the entertainment industry? Because again, we at Map Sports Podcast Network, we really work closely with the video game industry, which is still part of Fortune 500, Fortune 100 companies. Have you thought about that before, or how interested do you think that the young people in your community, or even the older people in your community, might be interested in working with Map Sports Podcast Network on identifying jobs and opportunities in those spaces?
You know, that's really interesting. So we have a relationship with Dallas College and Dallas ISD, and we work with them for our Oak Cliff Scholars Program, as well as with our Oak Cliff Works program. And what we do is we identify with Dallas ISD those students that are not college bound. And what we try to do is get them routed into a program so that they're not what we call or what we consider out of school youth. We want to route them into something to make sure that once they graduate from high school, they're going to do something productive with their lives as opposed to not. And so we have not considered entertainment as a route for them to go, but I'm sure that we can form some sort of career path to do something like that. We've just considered healthcare. And so I would love to work with you on something like that. Yeah,
speaking of healthcare, one of their colleagues, Miss Lisa, where's she at today? You should be here. That's another area. That's another area, everyone, as we talked about in terms of esports. We talked about this ad nauseum. Esports is not just video games, okay? Esports is just a sliver of the video game industry. It's like maybe 7% of the video game industry. So it's also within the esports, you also have the healthcare piece of it. You have the people that can be chiropractors. You have people that are going to be nutritionists to teach people how to drink and eat the right foods. You have people that are attorneys that are going to negotiate the deals. You have people that are working communications. There's so many different aspects of it, but everyone now is focusing on health and wellness, right? And so we want to make sure that the kids that are playing the games have the mind, the body, their soul. They're all it's all connected, and they're not all over the place discombobulated. So yes, we're calling you out, Lisa. Next time you need to come here and work everybody else out here, because we do that a lot. When we do these events, we make sure that the people are warmed up, that they're doing yoga, that they're exercising, they're drinking the right drinks, and they're eating the right foods. They're engaged properly. Are you drinking the right foods and eating the right foods, AJ? AJ's shaking his head. AJ, I'm eating the right foods, Dr. Mark. Okay, that's great. So this is what we're going to do. What I want to do is I want to bring you back next time, just you and talking about the schools, because your son, he attends St. Philip's Academy. St. Philip's School Academy. So tell everybody what St. Philip's is.
St. Philip's. So St. Philip's is a private school here in South Dallas, in the Dallas area. It is about 95% African American. Our students, they're brilliant. They're brilliant. This week, we specialize in not just educating. Well, I'm not there anymore. I actually used to work there. I'm with the Oak Cliff Chamber. But
the reason why I'm asking her, I'm saying this, I'm putting her on the spot, is because, again, I'm trying to get the people that are listening to this, that there are a group of there's a community of black men and black boys that are out there and black children that are out there, in order for us to think about getting jobs in the future for people that are seniors in high school and going to college, or they already work in the workforce, we got to target them when they're in middle school too.
Oh, definitely.
Okay,
Elementary, really.
Elementary. And tell us about what your son this week is doing. What?
So this week he is actually with his classmates at the Big 12 Media Day conference, and so he's there today. Tomorrow he was preparing for it last week. They're preparing for this thing. It's really major for them. They're learning how to produce, learning how to film, learning how to edit, learning how to interview.
And he's 11.
He's 11.
Right. And I'm curious to know, when you're looking at developing your workforce, are you going to target kids that are that young, so that they can get prepared so that when it's time for them to go to college and maybe even high school, that they already are thinking about their future and they have maybe pathways into jobs when they get out of school?
Absolutely. So we are interested in expanding our program.
Okay.
So our program is extremely young. We just started a few years ago, but we're definitely interested in expanding.
Love that. And so what we're going to do with this remaining time, I'm going to ask you to talk a little bit about, if you were going to talk to a sponsor or an investor, someone who wants to go to give back to Oak Cliff Chamber, what would you say to them, and how would they get in contact with you?
Absolutely. So there are many ways to invest in the Oak Cliff Chamber of Commerce. We have our Oak Cliff Works program, which we've spoken at great length about. That is the program where we are taking underserved communities, those individuals that are unemployed or underemployed, and we are giving them opportunities to have a career. And but if you're interested in getting additional exposure or education for your business, there are opportunities there as well. For more information for either, you can reach us at 214-943-4567. Again, 214-943-4567, or oakcliffchamber.org.
And what about you on social media? How does someone get in contact with you?
There are many ways to get in touch with us on social media. We are on Facebook. It's Oak Cliff Chamber. We do have Instagram. It's Oak Cliff Chamber as well.
Or what about you? Did we talk about how they contact you? I don't think she wants anybody to contact her directly.
She's moving and shaking. So.
Yeah, that's right. She's shaking hands, kissing babies. Yeah. DeAnn, how does everyone contact you?
Well, either through the Oak Cliff Chamber, or I am DeAnn Duncan's Lax on Facebook. And also
tell them how to spell that, because they may not know.
DeAnn Dunkins Lax, and that's either on Facebook or on LinkedIn.
And last but not least, I'm going to ask you this question.
Yes, sir.
Not putting you on the spot, but I'm putting you on the spot.
Okay.
So we talk about video games on here all the time. Okay, so do either one of you currently play? Because I know you have an 11-year-old son. Okay.
Yeah. So do you count Candy Crush?
If it's a game, we're counting it.
I play Candy Crush. I started back playing to relax.
Okay. That's the only game you play?
So far.
What about your son? What do he play? Do you
he's
engage with him?
all into the Roblox, all into Minecraft, all into what is that other thing? Among Us. Every now and some basketball game on his phone, like he's like playing that. I don't know.
AJ, help her out here.
Like 2K Mobile?
Is that what it is? I mean, you can play it on your phone. That might be what it is. I look at
Mom, you need to invest and find out what your son's playing.
I'm just trying to figure out what Among Us is, because all I hear is kids talking about, I'm dead, kill him. I'm like, okay, all right. But yeah, they are into these things. But I don't think we're as current as we should be. We just have our little Xbox, one of the old versions.
Listen, parents, I'm imploring you to look at what your kids are playing.
Yeah.
Okay, please do that.
Please.
Mom.
Yeah,
all right?
Definitely.
Yes.
Yeah. Do you play video games?
If you don't play, what was the last game you played?
I have a 27-year-old daughter, so we don't.
This is your daughter? You produced this child? 27 years old.
Yes.
Look at that. Now, I'm not going to even use the phrase where we say black don't blankety blank. No.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing.
Well, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. And I played Pac-Man.
Pac-Man, all right.
Pac-Man.
Old school.
Yes.
There you go.
our Tetris back in
Yes.
the day. So that is the extent of my game.
Okay, well, when you were playing
gaming.
Tetris and Pac-Man, were you listening to music? Because right now they have music within the games, obviously. Will you bump a New Edition? Will you?
I mean, yeah.
There you go. Popcorn Love, Jealous Girl.
There
What
we go.
we talking about here?
I mean, Solitaire back in the
Yeah.
day.
Solitaire,
there
okay,
we go.
okay.
That's the extent of it for me.
Were you listening to music too when you were playing your games?
I'm sure, yeah, definitely at
Or
the
you listening
arcade.
to? Or you listening to all this they playing now?
What they're playing now,
Yeah.
like rap, nah.
She's like,
but
nah.
but back on our level, back in the 80s and 90s,
80s
yeah,
and
I'm
90s,
sure
okay.
somebody's arcade. I was playing like, what's happening with arcades now? Are they still in existence?
Well, you got to go to the malls and look and find them. They're there. They're out there. You know. But
Okay.
there's a friend of mine. He's actually doing a movie about arcades, the making of it. And that's one of the things that we teach at the university level is really educating young people about the history of video games. Really started with the arcades, right? And but it was deeper than that. But yeah, I think it's imperative that the parents really get engaged.
I do too.
And I think that when you match the quote unquote old school with the new school, and you talk about the things that you can do together collaboratively, you're going to have a much more robust conversation with your sons and daughters, right?
definitely.
But also, I also think that we're not thinking in terms of workforce, in terms of things that people like to do for a living, what people do for fun. Like what I do for fun is what I do for a living is what people do for fun.
Yeah.
So I come from music, sports, fashion, film, and I do that for a living, and I get a chance to talk about it, right?
Yeah.
So you think about all the people that you know, what do they do for fun? They can convert what they do for fun and make it into a living, okay?
Yeah.
They can easily do that. So if someone says, I love music. Well, why can't you be a person that's a music critic? Why can't you be a music director? Why can't you direct videos? Why can't
Yeah.
you produce music?
Yeah.
Because we have relationships with the labels. Well, I like playing video games. Well, why can't you be a person that designs a game? Well, I
Yeah.
like the stuff that's in the games. I like the fashion of it. Why can't you work for Nike or Reebok, right?
Yeah.
So we need to start thinking that way because we do that anyway already for fun.
I
So why
agree.
not do it for a living?
I agree.
So I just want to say it's been great. Did you guys have a good time?
Yeah.
Very
Was
much
it,
so.
were you bored? Like
Not
oh
at
my
all.
God, this is Mark Williams. How are you? We're
No,
talking
it's
to
not
Kiyundra. No, we don't do that here. We have fun. And we also put people on the spot. We put
Yeah.
little AJ. AJ got to be on the podcast. You have some fun today? Wearing your Nike? You better be wearing Nike shoes. Yeah, he gotta be. You gotta represent. Yeah, you gotta be. And you got my man got the Yankee cap on here. So we got NY up in the space, but even though he's from Philly, right? You from Philly? Virginia, but he's rocking NY, you know what I'm saying?
Petersburg, Virginia.
And we got GQ Smooth over here, the brother over
Yeah.
here. He's being shy. But today, we had some fun today. We're going to bring them
did.
back to talk about, we're going to come back, not in the spring, because we're going to talk about how we making sure we get some Jamaican stuff up in that taste, okay?
Right.
All right, we got to do that.
Shout out to Jamaica Cook Shop in Mesquite, Texas.
Oh, okay. See,
Come
he
on
knows
now.
somebody.
Okay, so yeah, so
Somebody
so that's your
has
contribution.
Yes, Jamaican Cook Shop in Mesquite, Texas.
I love
Got
it.
The best oxtails in the DFW area.
So are you gonna bring them?
Co-signing. Amen.
Are you gonna bring them here?
I was gonna bring it to you.
Oh, you gonna bring it to me?
I literally was gonna get you some.
My man,
You
my
talking
man.
about oxtails, you know?
Yeah, this is Mr. Wendell over here.
Mr. Wendell Merriweather and Company Barbershop here in the TA Travel Center, the best little barbershop in Texas.
And I know because they got me straight. So yeah, so here this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna bring Mr. Wendell back, bring a little AJ back. We're gonna bring everybody back to
Yeah.
talk individually differently what they do, but we're gonna incorporate what we do with video games, what we do with pop culture. We're gonna have a good time. Okay, so this is my second show back in 2 months. I'm still rusty and I'm still tired, but I'm energized because my mom is a warrior. You know what I'm saying? If she can go through what she went through all those years, right? I can't complain about anything, and I don't. Okay, and so what I want you again to do is to practice. Please practice being safe, and remember, practice social distancing, my friends. Please do that because I want to save the planet. We want to save people. We don't want to see people disenfranchised. We want to see people working. We want to see people prosperous. We want to see people also coming together as a culture. Okay, this should not be about politicized. This should not be about being white, black, gay, straight, or whatever it is. We live in America, so we now have to come together. Okay, and I think one of the ways to come together is video games. Video games, music, fashion, sports. I mean, that brings people together. And we had a great conversation with Kiyundra Jones, who's the president of Oak Cliff Chamber of Commerce, and DeAnn Lax, the Associate Creative Director there as well. And we've had some great friends inside the studio today as well. And we just want to say thank you again for listening to Dr. Mark's Masterclass podcast on a Map Sports Esports Podcast Network, powered by Innovation Media Enterprises. Aaron and Sia, thank you again for everything, holding me down. Gage, I know you did your thing today, trying to assemble everybody together at the last minute. And you should have seen Sia in here. She's on her knees trying to make this thing work, trying to make the microphones work and everything. But we got it done. Yeah. And remember, everybody, you can control three things. You can't control anybody else. You can control three things: what you think, what you do, and what you say. Remember that. What you think, what you do, and what you say. Lil AJ, you got something to say before we go? You want to give a shout out to anybody? So I put you on the spot. So when you get that opportunity, you got to take it, brother. Maybe next time. Next time. So we will see you very soon on another episode of Dr. Mark's Masterclass podcast. And Lisa, next time you better bring your butt in the studio. Peace. Thanks for listening to Dr. Mark's Masterclass. I pray you enjoyed yourself today. I had a good time. I don't know about you, but this podcast is part of the Esports Future Ride Podcast Network and is produced by Innovation Media Enterprises. Please be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast channel and let us know how we're doing by leaving a comment or a review. Class dismissed.